Welcome back to Intro to Web Design with Bootstrap. This is part 1B. Let's talk about file structure. If we look at the precompiled Bootstrap file that we just downloaded from getbootstrap.com, we'll see something similar to this file structure. Here's what a basic HTML template using Bootstrap will look like. It starts the same as any HTML template where we assign our doc type. Then in our head, you'll see some relevant information specifically for Bootstrap, like meta name viewport. After that, you'll see a link to a CSS style sheet that specifically uses Bootstrap styling. After that, we have some commented out information, and then you'll see our script tags, which will link to the JavaScript functionality that Bootstrap uses in their components and such. Onto the body tag, we start with Hello World, and then a note about jQuery plugins, another script tag, this time for our jQuery, and a final script tag for our Bootstrap script. Typically, scripts will be in the bottom of the body. It's good to let everything in the HTML load before you get to the JavaScript functionality. What is the Bootstrap grid system? This is the official statement. Bootstrap includes a responsive, mobile-first fluid grid system that appropriately scales up to 12 columns as the device or viewport size increases. It includes predefined classes for easy layout options, as well as powerful mixins for generating more semantic layouts. To simplify that, Bootstrap 3 starts small, and with the use of a grid system, it can expand effortlessly to any screen size while keeping its proportions. So how do we work a Bootstrap grid system? Well, we use the grid system to create page layouts, and we're going to utilize rows and columns. And here's specifically how the Bootstrap grid system works. Rows are placed within a dot container class for proper alignment and padding. You use rows to create horizontal groups of columns. Content should be placed within the columns, and only columns may be immediate children of rows. Predefined grid classes like .row and .col-xs-4 are available for quickly making grid layouts. Less LESS mixins can also be used for more semantic layouts. Columns create gutters, also known as gaps between column content, via padding. That padding is offset in the rows for the first and last column via negative margins on .rows. And grid columns are created by specifying the number of 12 available columns you wish to span. This may not mean a whole lot to you right now, but it'll all make sense once we actually dive into Bootstrap. We also are going to make use of media queries. Media query is a fancy term for conditional CSS rule, and it just means that it applies to some CSS based on certain conditions. The media queries in Bootstrap allow you to move, show, and hide content based on viewport size. The following media queries are used in less files to create the key breakpoints in the Bootstrap grid system. Essentially, this is setting the parameters for when you're going to move from a phone size to a tablet size to a computer size. And then, if you want to add more resources, you should use a CDN, which is a Content Delivery Network. You can find more information about that at bootstrapcdn.com. And one last time, a quick look at the link tag that loads the CSS. The script tag loads the JavaScript. Then there's the meta tag, which is used for smaller devices. It disables zooming so that the responsive features of Bootstrap will work. And that's the end of part 1. It's a lot of information to take in at once sometimes, but once you start really playing around and seeing the physical changes, it all makes sense. Thanks so much for checking this out, and I'll see you in part 2.